Ever walk out of a meeting or even just like a casual conversation and think, well, that totally flopped.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like you said the words, but...
It's like something else was happening.
Exactly. And you know
Yeah.
what that is? That, my friend, is the power of body language.
It's huge.
So today we are diving deep into all those nonverbal cues. Using body language for better communication is easy, actually, as our guide.
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah.
It's incredible how much we say without ever actually, saying it.
Right. Like, what is it, 90%? Something crazy like that is nonverbal?
The source says over 90%. Yeah.
Wow.
It's not just about being like a human lie detector, though.
Yeah.
It's about understanding all the subtle ways we interact all the time.
Okay, so let's break it down then. What exactly are we talking about when we say body language?
Well, think about it.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking everything from those micro expressions that, flit across your face.
Like when someone says croissant and you're like...
Yes, exactly. To the way you stand when you're, say, trying to project confidence during a presentation.
Or even just like how far you stand from someone in an elevator.
Right. Everything's saying something. Imagine you're giving a killer presentation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're prepared, you're passionate, but your body language, totally off, screaming, bored out of my mind.
Ouch. Not the message you want to send.
No. The source compares it to, like, a song.
Okay.
Words are the lyrics, sure. But body language, that's the melody, the rhythm, the thing that makes it resonate.
Oh, I love that analogy. Okay, so our bodies are sending these signals constantly. How do we get better at understanding what we're projecting?
Right.
And maybe even more important, how do we accurately read other people? Because misreading those signals, recipe for disaster.
100%. I think the first step really is understanding how powerful eye contact is.
Knew you were going to go there. But seriously, how much is enough? Too little feels weird. Too much is like intense.
Right. No one wants to feel stared down. The sweet spot, according to the source, is around 60-70%. And that doesn't mean, constantly staring.
Right.
It's more about holding someone's gaze for a few seconds, like 3 to 5, then glancing away briefly.
Okay, so hold the gaze, show you're engaged, break it before it gets creepy.
Exactly.
Got it. But what about facial expressions?
Yeah.
Because I can't walk around grinning like a maniac all the time. Although sometimes.
Well, and the source talks about this idea of resting feedback face. That neutral, maybe slightly skeptical expression we make when we're listening hard.
Oh yeah, I've been told I have a really great resting concerned face.
Well, awareness is key. Just knowing you do it is a great first step. The source suggests really consciously softening your expression, especially when giving feedback. And a genuine smile. That can change everything.
Maybe I need to work on my resting, approachable face then.
A little warmth goes a long way. And speaking of warmth, there's this fascinating thing called mirroring.
Mirroring, like looking in a mirror.
No. This is about subtly reflecting the other person's body language, like their posture or their tone.
Yeah.
It can really help build rapport.
Wait, so if I subtly copy someone's posture.
You're not really copying, more like naturally aligning with them.
Okay.
Say they leaned forward, you might find yourself doing the same. Or if they're speaking softly, you adjust your volume to match.
That's wild. Our bodies are so weird.
It's because, and the source explains this really well, it all taps into this primal desire to connect with people who are like us.
Fascinating.
But, and this is important, subtlety is key here. No one wants to feel mocked, so just keep it natural.
Got it. Subtle mirroring, check. Which, this is making me really self-conscious about how much I fidget.
It happens.
The source did talk about posture, though.
They did, yeah.
And as someone who tends to slouch, I'm listening.
Stand tall wasn't just your mom nagging you. Good posture really does project confidence, it turns out.
So there's a reason people talk about power poses.
Exactly. And it's not all about appearances either. Studies show good posture can actually improve your mood and your energy levels.
Fake it till you make it, but with your body.
Right.
Okay, good posture, boundless energy. I like it. But what about all the other ways we use our bodies to communicate, like hand gestures?
Oh, yes. Gesticulation.
I talk with my hands a lot. Maybe too much sometimes. I'm almost afraid to ask what the source says about that.
It's not about never using your hands. It's about making those movements count. The source mentions open palms, for example, are generally seen as more honest, more open. Whereas pointing your finger, even if you don't mean it in a, aggressive way, can come off a little strong, especially depending on the culture, actually.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm a big pointer, especially when I'm excited about an idea. Okay, so I'll work on that. Open palms, good. No finger pointing, got it. What else?
Well, the source really emphasizes that it's all about context. So, like in a presentation, a big gesture can be super effective, but one-on-one,
Right.
keep it small, keep it close to your body.
Don't want to knock over anyone's coffee.
Exactly. Read the room, right. And speaking of reading the room, there's another aspect of body language we should probably talk about, something the source calls proxemics.
Proxemics. Sounds very academic.
It's not really. It's basically just about personal space.
Oh, right. Like how close is too close.
Exactly.
Some people, they're all up in your bubble, you know? I'm definitely someone who takes a step back and they just take another step closer.
It's a dance, for sure. The source says professionally, 2 to 3 feet's a good rule of thumb.
Okay, that feels like a safe distance. Not too far, not too close. But I imagine it changes a lot outside the office, right?
Definitely. That comfort zone, it definitely shrinks with friends and family, like the source was saying. But it's still important to pay attention to those nonverbal cues. Someone leaning away, angling their body away from you, could mean you're a little too close for comfort.
Like an invisible force field we all have.
Right.
You cross it, things get weird.
The source talks about the importance of just being really perceptive. See how people position themselves. Are they mirroring you, which can mean connection, or are they putting some distance between you?
It's all about those subtle cues, huh? I'm realizing I need to up my game. I'm not sure I've been paying close enough attention.
Well, you're not alone. Most of us, we don't even realize all these messages we're sending.
Yeah.
But once you start paying attention,
Yeah.
it's amazing what you pick up on.
It really is like a whole other language, right?
Totally.
Okay, so something else just occurred to me, though. This whole, like, comfort zone thing, that probably varies wildly across cultures. right?
100%. The source was really clear about that. Those cultural differences are huge. What might be a friendly pat on the back in one place
Yeah.
could be a total no-go somewhere else.
I was traveling with a friend once, and they were a big hugger, and let's just say there were some awkward encounters before they adjusted.
It happens. It's like, you travel to a new country, you try to learn a few basic phrases so you don't offend anyone.
Right, right.
Same thing with body language.
So not just being mindful of what we're doing, but also, like, being sensitive to where other people are coming from.
Exactly. What flies in one context might not in another.
Yeah.
And being open to learning, adjusting, that's part of being a good communicator, both verbally and non-verbally.
It all ties together. Man, I'm thinking back to conversations now, like, how much did I miss? This is fascinating stuff. But how does this all work then in, like, a high stakes situation, like a job interview?
Oh, job interviews. Talk about high stakes.
No kidding. I always feel like I'm overthinking everything. Every little hand gesture, every time I shift in my seat.
It's like you're trying to conduct this whole orchestra of nonverbal cues
While answering those tricky questions, yeah.
and probably sweating under those fluorescent lights too.
Exactly.
But you know what? That awareness is actually a good thing. Means you're already thinking about how you're presenting yourself.
Okay, so how do you not overthink it then? Because I've been there too.
Yeah.
So busy analyzing every little thing I do that I can't even, like, listen anymore.
Yeah, it's a balance for sure. And the source talks about this idea of like practice makes perfect. It's a skill, right?
Right.
The more you work on these things consciously, the more natural they become.
Muscle memory, but for body language.
Exactly. You wouldn't show up to a marathon without training. Don't go into a job interview or any high stakes situation really without practicing.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, tips from the source on how to practice. Am I standing in front of the mirror talking to myself?
Well, hey, practicing in the mirror can be helpful.
Right.
Lets you see what you look like to other people, which can be eye-opening. But really, you want to find ways to practice in real life too.
Okay, so, like, be more mindful in everyday conversations, ordering coffee, chatting with coworkers.
Exactly. The more you do it, the less you have to think about it.
Hmm.
And then it becomes this tool, instead of this obstacle you're constantly tripping over.
I like that. It's not about, like, manipulating people with body language.
No, not at all.
It's about using it to, really connect and
Yeah.
communicate more clearly.
Becoming more aware of what we're saying
Yeah.
without even realizing it.
Uh,
And then using that knowledge to build those connections.
Love it. Well, I'd say this has been an eye-opening deep dive.
I agree.
I'm definitely going to be paying more attention, not just to myself, but to everyone around me.
I love that. That's great. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination, right?
Well said. Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive into the fascinating world of body language. Thank you, as always, for joining us. And remember, next time you're out there, pay attention not just to what people are saying, but to what their bodies are doing. You might be surprised what you discover.
A whole other language waiting to be explored.